So hi everyone. Today we're gonna tweak a little bit our neovim config and maybe later on program further on the charwise selection feature in neovim. Let's see how far we get today. As usual, let's play some music. Let me just adjust my setup a little bit. So now let's see what's new. New fish release. Mostly fixes. Yeah. It's a patch release, so there should be just fixes, right? Let's search lens for neovim. Tsurumi, thank you for the star. Registry lent, license validation step. Seems like a great thing. SPDX licenses and relax validation of license list. Registry schemas. The license list now allows arbitrary string values which need to be validated through something else, for example, the expression parse. Okay, so it seems that's all on use. And let's see what do we have on updates. CLangD .NET BSP. There I fixed some test run related issues I had and introduced some new tests to ensure that it doesn't regress in future. So this one want also dated. Other stuff is not actually in use. Oh, the Lua server. This could be also updated. What do we else need? Yeah, okay, that should be it. Lazy. Yeah, I have local changes. Nui also. Blink. Yeah, I didn't update it for a long time. So let's update this. Git signs. nvim lsp config. There are some changes to the new configuration way in neovim 0.11. The neovim team introduced a new way to configure LSP, so that's what the most changes here are, I think. Let's update that. Signs. Resetter. Indent lines. Lower line. Mason tool installer. Who is sending a fix replication? Deprecation warnings. Let's update this too. NeoGit. NeoGit has always many commits. They are heavily working on it. Okay, let's reopen. See what they have. So open. Wait. I think I updated that part. Notification for launch JSON parsing errors. Replace an open term with in job start. I didn't even know that it exists. Okay. So seems like a new thing. Fields and app configuration annotation. Drop support for nvim 095. Line harbor. Gunfireman, hi. How are you? nvim 3 changes. 3 pre-open event was added. Reliable dispatch exactly 1 3 open and 3 close events. Reset the text object stuff. Dev icons. Render markdown. Yeah, some telescope changes. Don't return navigate values from item to location. Don't return negative values. Add default position encoding when calling symbols to items. Overseer. Pass language environment variable to make. Yeah, happy Easter also, thank you. What's up on your side? What are you doing? Let's see, I'm not sure, I had some changes in my AK nvim repository. Sure if I push them. Oh yeah, code search. That's actually something I copied from TJ. Thank you for that, TJ. Shout out to you. So that was a really great hint. Because I struggled with this issue a lot, where you try to search for something. Let's say here, if you're in neovim right here and you try to search for a string, let's say shell temp, and you only want a specific files to be considered for the search. I struggled a lot with that, and he had a video on it. I linked it here. Yeah, not the video itself, but at least the link to the repository from him. And he showed in the video how you can customize the search, so you can restrict the search here to specific file types with a glob pattern. And this is a game changer, in my opinion. That's really a nice addition to my custom functions here. So this is something I will add here in my config, so we can have a look at that. go to the repository here and pull the latest changes. And so let's find some key mappings. Leader. You visit the family. And eat a bunch of stuff, I guess, right? And now you're looking the stream with your whole family. So I think I had this leader. GG. The one. No. With GG. That's the one I wanted to change. For here. Instead of this one. We do this one. Code search. And just let's add here also a description. My custom code search. No filter. Call it like that for now. And the other thing I also got from the video from TJ is nice hint how you can search, let's say in sorry, in neovim configuration files only. So the way it would work, you actually say you want to find files here. Let's call it like this, and then define the key map for like edit config, right? And then we search here in the current working directory, and we provide a specific directory where we want to search in. What was this called? Vim standard. How was this called? There is a function where you can get the default folders, like the configuration path for neovim. This is something with standard. Don't remember this one. Let's see, we have maybe here standard path, something like that, but there was a shorter version of that, I think. Yeah, let's just use this one. Config, right. So, and for this description stuff here, call this my find config files in nvim directory. That should be it. Yep. So let's see if we do edit config, right? Then you can just now select the files which are inside the config nvim directory. That's what we did there. And the other thing is now we switch to neovim. Neovim. And we try to search here. Then we have this code search. I called it code search. And now we search for shell temp, right? And we want to limit it only to specific files. We do two spaces here, and then we define a glob. And let's say we want only to search in text files .txt, and it limits the search only to the txt files, which is pretty handy. And I often find myself to need to limit to specific files, and never knew how to do that. And yeah, this was great, and I use it all the time now. So maybe we can also get to the video. For TJ tree sitter. Which one was it? Oh no, it's not tree sitter. It was telescope, advanced telescope examples. I think this was that. Oh, come on.
Hey everybody, today a load extension for this so that when you're actually like loading Telescope, it uses the FCF native searcher, which just makes it like a lot better at searching and faster. So here's the first key map that I want to add. I want one that can search all of our packages. So we'll do space.
Yeah, this is the one. So if you want to see more of this advanced examples, this is the video. I posted just in the chat. So if you want to find that and see for yourself, that's a great one. And then the next thing I wanted to do is actually look into the new LSP configuration. I use this Roslyn LS, but I also have this old LSP config stuff here with Mason LSP config, which is not required for the language servers that I use, I guess. At least for OmniSharp, it's not required anymore. You can do it differently. Just let's see. I can find the rest here. Not sure about this unattach. Download this part. So I already started with migrating the config. Not sure if I actually checked it in. See here. Remove the completion stuff. No, I could just pull it in. Got that I changed this already on another PC, but yeah, this was the function which I searched before. It's under vim function standard path, so it was the correct one that we used currently. So let's try this. Migrate this one. Actually, here we disable this part and do it kind of from scratch. So vim lsp config. This is the way how we can now configure each LSP server. So we define here the name of the LSP server and then the configuration that we want to override. And it has some defaults already built in the neovim 0.11 version, and you can override it if you want to. You can override it per server, let's say omni sharp, right? And then pass in the config that you want to override here. Which I think, yeah, sometimes it would make sense to override the command maybe. And you can define the command here like this. I don't know, .NET something DLL, right? And or you can also override stuff for all of the language servers with a star. That's also described here in the help. Say, wait. Here. Use name star to set default configuration for all clients. And this is something we want to do here, right? Let's just deactivate this one. And we don't want to set the command, but we want to set, let's say, compatibilities. Like this. Let's just copy the stuff which we had here, actually in the LSP config here, and I want to copy this one. So the blink capabilities. So let's go back here into the init and set this part here. Like this. This should already work. Let's find out. Let's search for some C files. Let's actually check out Java's range. This is the feature that I want to work on next. And let's see what was here. Let's jump to X command. C file. X command C file. No. Let's see if the LSP server started. I think it would not start, right? Because we don't enable this one. So not active. Which is fine. Now we need to enable this, which would mean C lang D, I think it was. Now we will try again. X command C. Okay, now LSP info. Now we get it enabled. And let's see in the capabilities. Yeah, I'm actually not sure what Blink defines here in the capabilities, but we can see if Blink is enabled and it works with LSP here. Let's find some function. Say do filter here. Or EP. So it seems to work. So the completion works as such. So this is already good. And let's see what we can also maybe configure there. So maybe I just move the configuration here, so it's also easier to refactor this part. So this, and let's search here for LSP and reactivate it again. We will just refactor it there. SP config. So put it in here. Remove this part. We don't need Mason LSP config anymore. I think at least I will try it without. We have this on attach thing. This is something we could add. Don't need LSP signature anymore. This is something that Blink already can provide. To move this part. We also removed. So, and remove this old stuff. This is not needed. Maybe only this Two things: relative pattern support and dynamic registration. Enable file watcher capabilities, wireless B clients. I'm thinking how to enable this because here it's kind of static. For the purpose of performing permission checks. What? These are different capabilities. That's a good question. How to configure something in this way. So if we want to get LSP capabilities of Blink and then set some custom ones. Oh, I think it's just, yeah, it's just setting them up here. And then can we have multiple of them? So here, if we just do this part multiple times, would this work? Try this out. So if we say something like this, so, and the same for this. This way. So, and now I want just to check if dynamic registration and relative pattern support is enabled by default, right? And then we enable this and check if it's changed. So if this is applied or not. Let's close this one. So let's see LSP info, capabilities. There was dynamic registration is false, but on code lens completion. What's the other thing called here? Lab in workspace. Capabilities workspace did change watched files. Yep. So they are both true in workspace. So we don't need to set them. Yeah, I have to disable this first also because it is applied now. It was a mistake. So first disable this. And now we need to check again. So capabilities completion workspace. The changed watched files. So it seems still be true. So we don't need to set this thing here. Make config is not called anywhere here. So it's fine. I don't need this part. Right. Yep. So fine here. Can remove this part. And maybe jump here and see what. Ah, okay. This is set. It's not right. Oh, I need Lua language server to be enabled. Lua language server. I thought it has a different name than Lua language server. This changed? Okay, let's enable it. So it does not work. Let's see. I think the name was maybe a different one. Lua ls. So I think we have to use Lua ls here. Wait, save. Actually, let's be config here. So now it seems up. So lsp info. So yeah, now it is loaded. So this worked. Let's enable some other of them. I mean, we could do it also in a loop here and just get the servers that are installed via Mason and then loop over them and enable all of them. But for now, I want just to enable a handful of them. That's for later. Currently, we don't need this. This one also. VLSP OmniSharp. Unless this is it. And maybe GD script. So and OmniSharp. This here, because we only can use Roslyn or OmniSharp. And currently I am trying to use the Roslyn language server. And maybe just rename this one. I have to move the file. Move config nvim lsp Roslyn to config nvim lsp. Yes. Have an error. Expected table got nil. lsp config 243. Two 143. Oh, it's actually enabled. Yeah. And here it's the same. Here also. Mistyping here. MSP. Inlay hint. See how to enable. Maybe there is a new way how to enable inlay hints with this new configuration method. Filtered scope. Get the list of inlay hints optionally restricted by buffer or range. Oh, we can actually see if it's enabled. Try that here. Lua. False, it's not enabled. You could also check if this, oops. Yeah, we don't have the client, that's true. This has to be done on the client and see if this is supported. Do I have it somewhere here? Text document, inlay hint. Dynamic registration is true. Actually, remove the logs because they are quite big currently. We get warnings for that. The log file size is too big. Can remove this. Attach. Another thing I wanted to change. Oh yeah. Build failed, but this was expected. Just pushed some changes that I did recently to the branch. I was knowing that this is not gonna work currently. So, thing I wanted to try out also is Mason. I cloned the Mason project or forked because I had one change in there that is not currently merged, but I wanted to use it anyway. This is the one that I wanted to use. And I tried to implement a new feature where you can define where the NuGet packages are installed from. Currently, it's only possible to install NuGet packages from the official NuGet org repository, which is most of the time used and needed, but especially for the Roslyn language server, the Microsoft team behind it doesn't push the changes to the NuGet org repositories, but they have their own repository for that in Azure DevOps instance. But it's public, so it's not kind of private and hidden, but it's still a little bit hard to find and hard to use with Mason because you cannot define different repository NuGet packages. And with this change, it should be possible, and we can try it out. So let's see. So let's actually use the local version of Mason, and then I pull the changes. Mason nvim. Let's merge main again. Push forward. Seems like my credentials are expired. But anyway, we could pull it, so that's fine. And switch to Mason registry. Okay, I need to clone also the Mason BSP. This one. Sometimes I need this, so on this one. This is a repository for the BSP servers. Okay, and now this version. Let's actually put it that way. Okay, pull again, so we get all the feature branches. Okay, and here we have the Roslyn ls. We added a own package with the patch that I showed before or mentioned before for NuGet packages to be able to provide a custom repository for the package. We have here the Roslyn package, and it would look like this. So you have NuGet, and you define which NuGet package, which NuGet version, and behind here you can say repository URL, and then you define this custom repository URL, which is officially from Microsoft, so should be fine from the security point of view. And this one is actually mentioned on the Roslyn language server GitHub. They have maybe only Roslyn GitHub. That's the repository. Here's the language server, and we have discussions here how to download it. Roslyn. Maybe it was called install. How can I download language server executable? That's the one. And here one of the maintainers wrote that you can install it from this repository, which is the official one from the team itself, and should be fine to use. And we will try to use the new version, which is 5.0. Let's see. Mason. Oh, I just updated it, but it seems that it didn't pick it up. Oh yeah, I know why. So we have to enable this first. So we have to enable the registry here first. Now, so let's see if this works. Maybe there were some changes which break the installation process that we defined here. So it seems to work. Now let's switch to our .NET BSP project and open up any C# file. Say test and it's tests. So seems the server started properly. It's interesting because how was this feature called? Where it shows here the class or type information, but it's not actual text. It's just how to say that? It's just provides the information here in line, but it's not something you could change. It's not the actual code in that file. Same goes for this one. You see, I cannot select it because it's not actual text inside the file, but it's provided via the LSP. Inlay hint. I think this was the feature. It was called inlay hint, right? Yeah, I think this is the feature inlay hint. It's sometimes a little bit confusing because I find it not always yeah, possible to see if this is inlay hint or is this just a string inside the file. But maybe it's more an issue of the color scheme that I use, which is the default one. But a language server seems to work, which is great. Let's just also try out if we go to, say, test, and we open up the file directly, any .cs file, if the language server still starts properly. So let's see what we have here. To open this test related tests. It takes a little bit longer because of the server, which needs to initialize. But then it works, so it's fine. Maybe it needs some tweaks that it does not block an initial opening of a file. Would be great, but at least it works. I think I don't need this part here. Because it's configured globally for me. Doesn't show any diagnostic. Do not set this to true. This is also something I could configure globally. Here. Capabilities, right? This. So then you can remove this part here also. This is already true. This part is also globally provided. Only need to do this custom stuff on attach here, which is server specific. And we have this issue with not a problem. How we could start the language server, because it's a DLL and not an executable. We have to call it with .NET. Right. Oh, actually I don't start the proper server here. So we need to find a way how we can configure it, the actual command, how to find it in a more generic way. I hard-coded it the last time, just that it works on this local machine. Rewrite it just a little bit here. Let's see. I have how to rewrite this. Maybe first with to be Mason aware and just pick up what Mason installed. Okay, let's just try to rewrite this. And this at the end would be then the executable name. Mason registry, Wilson package. So we don't like that. We can just say which server, and it should be called like this. And it's actually an executable. It cannot be. Not sure. Oh yeah, this works here only because I compiled it locally. So if I compile it locally, then we have an executable which is called like the name of the assembly, which is Microsoft Code Analysis .language server, right? But it would not be here. Here we have only the DLL, and it has to be called with .NET CLI. So this not needed. Just think how to name it properly. Maybe that in the future it's easier to use this configuration not only with Mason but with local installations too. I think of a better way to write it maybe. The problem here is that we have to start the server first, and it needs some time to create the pipe and initialize the server internally, and then we can just try to connect to the server via pipe here. This is the way I done it. Now it's a bit hacky with sleep here in between. It's, looks so that we see that it's that we need to wait and it's not hidden inside this function, but we need to change this. This part is also something we have to remove. Anything that's local to my PC or my development environment here needs to be removed if we want to upstream this configuration. And this would be the way we could get it working with Mason. Maybe we look how this is currently is looking into in this directory after we installed it, so it should be somewhere. Any local nvim Mason sketches Roslyn. Nice content. libexec. We have this here anywhere. Okay, no, this is something else. Signature, masonry, lib, icon. Maybe in lib. So let's try this out with .NET here, and using Roslyn, maybe we call this here Roslyn ls or something. Call this like that, Roslyn ls. And I remove this part here. I try this without that part here. So, okay, now we could also get rid of this function at the top because it's short enough to have it here and just directly here in place. I would say So now we have to reinstall it. First remove, then install it again. And then we can see here what it looks like when it's done. Okay, now it should be done. Okay, we have for this Roslyn ls. Okay, so execute stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, this looks reasonable. So no such file or directory, which is fine, I guess, because I made a mistake there. Here, it should be called Roslyn ls. Oh, it could not connect. Maybe we clean up the logs. See in the messages, nothing. Widget, history. No end. No end. No entry. So it seems like we try to connect before the pipe is created. Maybe this is not enough here. Now I could enable multiple in one go. Let's just maybe let's just rewrite it first. So and we use here a table for this part. So and the other ones I could also just rewrite for the future. Okay, this should be it. Root markers. Now the root markers are called root markers. No. nvim sp config. Sharp. Let's set this also here. Proper root markers. We don't need this and function JSON. I'm not sure if we need this either, so we remove this. Try again. Not connect to socket. Let's increase the time we wait for that. Maybe we could also give some parameters here. How long to wait or something. Returns a function that can be passed to command field for LSB start. Most R path. TCP port to connect to. If I send the first argument, must be a pipe. increase this to see if this is causing it. Okay, so it must be something else. See if we maybe need this part. I was not sure, but there were some properties or parameters that we had to pass in so that the server starts properly. So okay, this was this a little bit unexpected, right? But it is how it is. Extension log directory must be provided. I think. Yeah, okay, this is a required option. So let's run this down here. Property is required. Okay, Let's just add it here maybe with this. All right. Be like this, right? Okay, let's reduce this part here. Here should be something that we can define how often it should try it before it gives up or something like that. Or how it is executed. Let's see. lsb command. Create a new USB client and start a language server, or use an already running client. If one is found matching name and root directory, attach the current buffer to the client. Command or function. Stop client with force. Repeat. Okay, this is the client configuration. Or client object. I mean, and this is the client configuration. So this is the function that we use. Launch the language server. Treat it as in job start must be absolute. On path shell constructs like are not expanded. Okay. Or function that creates an RPC client function receives a dispatcher's table and returns a table with member functions, requests, notify, closing, terminate. Okay, shell constructs are not expanded. or function that creates an RPC client. Function receives a dispatches table and returns a table of member functions. Request notifies closing and terminate. Within RPC client factory RPC connect. Current working directory to launch the command process not related to root directory. Environment flags. Handlers settings. Unattach. So it works now. This one is not optimal. We have vim something like temp. Directory. Temp file. Sensor handle for temporary file. This file is opened in update mode and it is automatically removed when the program ends. Temp directory or folder. Temp returns a string with a file name that can be used for temporary. Returns a string with a file name. Vim OS temp directory. Just do this maybe. Okay, this is, guess this is fine then. Path, join path. This is what we will need for Windows and Linux compatibility. Okay. And now, how was it? Join path file system. So fs join path, then directory, and this part here. Open this up a little bit. Let's maybe create here. Local UV. And local fs. Okay, now UV. Search for them stuff. Notify. Table. API. I think REST we can. Gladys is. Test it again. Inlay. It's enabled configuration. So okay, the capabilities are actually needed here. So here I need to open up LSB config. I don't have LSB config here. So I have a fork, I guess, of that too. Okay. Get clone. Get this feature here. This unattach overrides the global unattach. Is it? Is it so? Mm-hmm. Search for untouch. It's here in the different unattached. It's not a new configuration. I wanted just to look up if there is a different way how to write on attach now with this new way of configuring LSPs. This is the old config. So to make this here, file system unspecific. So maybe do this one. This here. So maybe we could also move this part low. Just re-add the things that they were before. Remove this one. I think this is not actually need that important. And this stuff. Oh, here. It's just function. Then we can move this part. And then could remove this nvim config ls and use nvim lsp config here. Directory dev tree. Refactor web server. Yeah, we'll push it later on when I updated my credentials. So I think that's for today. Configuration changes. Just update files. Let's just see. We can update some of them. Actually, let's first pull. And now correct the changes. So completion can be removed. Something I also need to remove here from nvim. Or completion alacrity to be Override vim notify true. This configuration is doubled. Again. Something I changed was actually set this config here. Also, LSP config ls. Setting also. LSP server. No. So then I can remove this part. this here. Then sp config sharp. Language server. Not sure if on the Java language server there's some changes. No, not it. Yeah, maybe if I need this, I need to do it from scratch. Move this part. Move. And this is actually a better way to configure it. So again, change this. Tree. Again, reconnect. Oh, this is something I have to remove. About this one. This was only for testing purposes. Okay, I think this is something you can now. Pushing has to be done later on, so yeah. Let's just first maybe run the tests. Make functional test. So I can take quite a while to run all the functional tests. Waiting for this pull request to be finished, because then we can use stick tooling to build neovim. Looking forward to that. It's sounds pretty interesting. Let it hang now. So highlight takes pretty long to complete here, or it may be just hanging. But in the meantime, maybe we could look into the function that we need to modify. Let me search. We now should be able to know the selection. So what I'm trying to do here with this PR is if we select something like this here and we want to run a command with bash, let's say word count or something, -l, right? Yeah, it cannot be modified here, but let's assume we have something like this here, right? And we want to do the word count again, -l here. This was for lines, or maybe just word count without that. So 60. And it works if you select whole lines. But it does not work properly if you select only character-wise, like this one. So let's say you would just select this 3, and you want word count, right? Should be 3, but it's not, because it takes always the whole line. And this is something that annoyed me for a long time, and I just decided to fix that, because this is an issue in Vim and neovim for a long time. And yeah, I think everyone would benefit from that. And I started with it, and currently we can recognize if we select only chars, but what we need to do now is actually for every X command that we want to support this kind of selection, we need kind of implement it into the specific function. Like say, let's say here, that's this filter or bang function, and it has to understand actually that we pass in here this char-wise selection, and we wanna do a word count. It says it's not an editor command, so it does not understand it currently. And this has to be done for every X command. I think we start just for the obvious one, so do bang. Let's see. This part would only echo the command. We don't need. This one would actually do a filter. And this is where we have to modify. As this function we need to modify to actually understand that we now perform this action on a char-wise selection. So, I need to leave for a moment. Be right back. So I'm back. So, and this one is hanging, as it seems. Vim spec. Okay, let's then find the Vim spec Lua. Search for this one. Work with marker char-wise ranges. So actually, you could also just run this functional test only for Vim spec. This one. Maybe we could write a test. Just check if we select the proper ranges. As for this feature to work, we have to first read from the markers in a char-wise fashion, right? And then pass it to the filter command. Wait. Now we have to modify this here. This actually should be like this. Because using this, this one means we would use line-wise selection, and this one should be then the char-wise selection. Let's see for char-wise stuff here. Char-wise substitute char-wise. Let's buy that. Versus explicit char-wise ranges. Okay, yeah. This is it. So I have failing tests here. Let's run them again because I modified the file in between. Let's look again into this feature. What else was defined in the issue here? So the proposal was support backtick ranges and explicit ones. And this are the markers for visual selection, and these are any marker we provide. So note it's very possible that parsing a backtick range might conflict with backtick expansion. Probably isn't an issue because how backtick expansion does not happen in the range part, the start of the command. Okay, column info is available. This is done. Docs update. Xargs. Yeah, I think when we get this working, I have to create to-do items in the pull request for each of this, so I don't lose track. And this, as I said before, we need to adjust the X commands so they do understand this kind of selection, or this explicit one with columns inside it. I think I would start with bang command. Maybe substitute would be also one of the important. And yeah, there are many others. But maybe we just do it step by step. So for this one, or a handful of most useful ones, we could do this in this PR, and the rest maybe in follow-up PRs. Okay. So 2 failing tests. nvim works with childless ranges. API nvim command works with simple shell command. Then expected, you expect this. Let's see. Second one. What do we do here? We get current buffer, get the marks here. So this is wrong actually. Like this. This needs to be because this change means actually that we want the columns to be passed also to the bang command. And the other one previously. Okay, this one is correct. So we insert this one into the buffer, then we say substitute, and in a char-wise fashion, right? And we write this as args. So replacing everything with foo. And this would replace this with foo, this, and the beginning here. When it works properly. So this one would test the substitute command, and this one would test the bang command. After we changed the backticks, two backticks here. Let's see if it's changed something in the test. Not an editor command. Let's not look into PO files. Well, this could be here or here. Fail if command invalid. Here parse command. Here in nvim parse command. So this is actually here. This is nvim parse command. It fails here because command index enum index size. Fail if command is invalid. If the modifier was parsed okay, the error must be in the following command. Size. Index for the command. Just to see if this fails directly there. If the error changes. No. Oh, come on. So I have like another break. Be right back. Yeah, so I'm back, but I have Boskans, thank you for the follow. I have to leave, unfortunately, but maybe I will stream later today, or maybe in the next days. So I will try to continue on this feature as I want to finish it. Yeah. So thank you, and see you in the next stream. Bye, chat.